Welcome, everybody. Can you all hear me okay all the way back there? Welcome, welcome. It's so great to have people back in the museum and to having a party. So, yay! Let's hope it keeps going, right? I'm Terry Emma, the director here at the museum. I'm proud to be here with all of you tonight. This event was supposed to take place in February. We usually open our exhibits, which we did in February. So we toyed with this. We're like, well, what do we do? Well, we still open the exhibit, but we thought we'll just do this opening some other time. So as soon as the time came up and we were able to get these three wonderful people together in the same room, we decided let's do this. So thank you for all being here. It's a very special evening. This is a benefit of being the museum member, so we appreciate all your support. And it's May is membership month, so if you have not renewed or you want to renew during May, you can do so, or you can make a donation, and anyone who does gets put into a raffle to win a fabulous gift basket from the Little Traveler with a $100 gift card and fabulous prizes inside. So that's just one of your extra little benefits of helping us in May, because museum does great in November and December, and then this is the time of year where things start to kind of slow down. So that's why we ask for your support throughout the year. So thank you very much. We want to thank the Little Traveler. They've been great partners this whole time since February through all the way through December. We're going to have this exhibit. Mike has been a wonderful partner, and Nancy as well, to put together programs. Tomorrow night we're doing an architectural tour of the Little Traveler after hours, so that's going to be fun. And they've been a great support of this whole project, and we've all learned from each other, so I think that's fabulous. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panel here, which I have with us today, Mike Simon, the current owner of Little Traveler. Norma Jaeger, who is the associate manager from 1971 to 1984. And Kate Raftery Muth, the great-granddaughter of Kate Raftery. You also, I forgot you have the Montgomery name in your name is Kate Montgomery Raftery Muth. Those are all family names, so. And Mary Raftery is here. She is the granddaughter-in-law, if that is right. I kind of thought about that. So to put things in perspective, you'll see a picture up here. So Kate had one son, Howard, and then Howard had three children, which are John, which would be Mary's husband, who passed away, which would be Kate's father. And then there was Kate, and then there was Peggy. It was Kate, John, Peggy, sorry, in the order, and they're all gone. They're no longer with us. So we're happy to have you all here with us today. And their friends, Ellen and Carlene, came along from Wisconsin. I've had a great day with all of you. We've been together. We had lunch. We shopped. We went through Little Traveler, of course. And we really had a great time. And Kate and I figured our connection together. So if any of you have seen the Little Traveler, we did pop-up pictures around Little Traveler from the museum, and there is one at the front entrance of Kate's father, John, sliding down the banister, that beautiful banister. Well, my mother modeled on that same banister when she was 19, so we decided that that banister at the Little Traveler brings our families together. It was just such an odd thing today. We just started almost laughing and crying. We're like, so I asked her to slide down the banister. She did start to, but anyway. So I also want to share with you, we did produce a book, 100 Years of Little Traveler, and Mike and Kate both wrote forewords for the book, and Norma is one of the staff spotlights in the book. So after the program tonight, if you'd like to purchase a book, they're $29.99 in the gift shop. Museum gets all the proceeds. They're also sold at Little Traveler. Thank you, Mike. They're also sold online on our website if someone wants to have them shipped to them. But tonight you can actually get them signed by all three of these wonderful people. So what a keepsake. And they've agreed to do that for us tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to, let's have Mike talk about today, current day. And then we'll have Norma and then Kate. And I'll just stand here for support, but I'll get out of your way.
Well, rather than talking about today, I'm going to start out by talking about the distant past. The wonderful anthropologists here at the museum unearthed an article from the Louisville, Kentucky Courier Journal dated August 14th, 1892.
Sorry, I'm just going to put it really close to you because otherwise people can hear you.
That better? Okay, it's titled, Miss Kate Howard and Miss Annie Hargis Come Near Being Drowned. Upset on a boat on Lake Chautauqua by a young man's silly prank. Miss Kate Howard, who later became Kate Raftery, and Miss Annie Hargis, two popular Louisville society girls, nearly lost their lives by drowning a few days ago at Lakewood, Lake Chautauqua, New York. The young ladies and Sam Churchill were boating when Churchill's foolishness caused the accident. Standing up in the boat, he began to rock it violently to frighten the girls, and finally rocked it so far over it that it capsized, throwing the young ladies into the water. Their screams for help attracted several boaters who rowed rapidly to their help. Miss Howard sank beneath the water. She rose, struggling to the surface, then disappeared again. By this time, a young New York man reached the place in the boat. He looked in vain for Miss Howard. As she rose for the third time, her struggles carried her beneath the boat, which prevented the young man from seeing her. As she sank for the last time, he saw her dress and caught it just in time. He quickly drew the unconscious girl into the boat and then picked up Miss Annie Hargis. Miss Hargis had been buoyed up by her dress, and she kept perfectly cool and did not struggle. Miss Howard was with difficulty resuscitated. Miss Hargis suffered only a nervous shock and a wetting. So let's unpack this. Let's say young New York man didn't get there in time. What would that mean? Well, obviously, it would mean no Little Traveler. If there's no Little Traveler, it would mean no Millrace Inn, no Robbins Bookshop, no 3rd Street Shopping District or restaurants, no redevelopment of the shanties on South River Lane into beautiful homes. And sorry, Kate.
No Kate.
No Kate. So it makes you stop and think what Geneva would be if it wasn't for Kate Raftery and the depth and breadth of her influence. Geneva would still be a nice town, not unlike dozens of other towns bordering Chicago. But without Kate Raftery, the Geneva we admire today would be a totally different place. 3rd Street would have stately homes and a courthouse, but the distinctiveness that makes Geneva Geneva would not have happened. So not only do we have Kate Raftery to thank for her vision that makes Geneva what it is, but we also need to remember an anonymous young man in a boat in Lake Chautauqua. Well, I've been humbled by this exhibit. I've learned so much about the store I feel so privileged to run, and know that the research that Terry, Marky, Heidi, and Vanessa and their team have done, with enormous help from the archives that the Raftery and Muth families have shared, have added a richness of detail that have brought Kate Raftery back to life and showed what a truly remarkable and visionary person she was. Every one of us in this room, and arguably every resident of Geneva, have been beneficiaries of Kate Raftery's vision. So thank you.
Kate? Oh, I'm sorry, Norma, sorry. I said they're opposite order in here. I'm looking at you. And Norma, I'm going to grab this for you.
Thank you.
Yep. And if you can peek as closely to that as you can.
Okay. Good evening, members and guests of the Geneva History Museum. I'm going to consult my notes because I want you to know the names of the women who are involved in the work. Isn't that what history's all about? The people who made it happen. As you know, this has always been a special place for our family. Thank you, Terry, for your continued efforts to grow the museum. And thank you, Michael Simon, for trusting me to speak as a long-time shop manager during the 70s and 80s. I know we're celebrating women in history this year. From my time spent at the Little Traveler, I knew so many women I could mention as part of the store's history. We ran the store with over 100 full-time, part-time employees. And I knew that because I did the payroll with Betty upstairs in the office every 2 weeks. And that included The employees included two men, Wasi Wittick and Bob Tim. Some of the highlights that occurred when I was there stick out in my memory. The first moment I walked into the store at 8 a.m., I thought I knew my day, but every day was different and brought new challenges. We would have a flurry of activity in the kitchen. I would have prepared and posted the week's buffet luncheon menus. Ingeborg Hawkinson would have her schedule for getting prep work done for the cafe. The plan would include making that famous pimento cheese spread. Sometimes she would be late because she insisted on washing, starching, ironing the white aprons for the staff. They had to be perfect, and the staff wore the pink uniforms. Now stop everything and throw a party. And can you imagine, each day at lunch, we had to set up the antique rooms with tables for our luncheon and fashion show. This also required pulling the staff from the store to serve behind the buffet table. Every day, Lynn King and Mary Winfrey would float through that crowd to sell clothing that Mary McIntyre had chosen from the dress department. Beautiful clothes, and they sold so much. There was always a fluff here and there from Sylvia Simon, who would add pearls and a handbag just to dazzle. At Christmas, we had to set up the creche, and this was done by Pat Beardsley, Mardell Voigt, Sandy Moreland, and a host of other girls from the other departments. Every time it was a surprise to open the crates. The reservations started in October for the few tables by the creche. To see the creche now being taken care of is such a blessing, one not to be missed at the museum during Christmas. Terry has done a wonderful job leading that. Mr. Simon thought we needed to get something out on the lawn for Swedish Days. So if you've seen the picture of me out on the lawn with a 5-foot pile of baskets, that was the first Swedish Days at Little Traveler. And yes, it was a success. Every afternoon, regardless of what I was involved in, I had to stop so I could sit down for lunch with Mr. Simon. We would discuss the events of the afternoon prior and the morning of with a lot of strategizing and planning. In the fall, we received a 40-foot container from London filled with antiques, furniture, and accessories. It was all hands on deck to clean, polish, repair, and price. Beautiful brass candlesticks, fireplace screens, trivets, gorgeous stuff. We prepared it for a 3-day Hinsdale Antique Show. It was a big job to take the Traveler on the road, but it was well worth it when we returned with an empty truck. It was a beautiful booth that we had. Looking back, the success of the Little Traveler was about our department heads, their passion for their work. They inspired their teams, and this was passed on to the customer. The department heads were Ann Stanfield, unbelievable woman. She ran the antique department. She did the antique shows. Bess Wenmuth in China. Jean Wyatt, fabulous woman. She read all the Shelter magazines, and she would go to the library and spend time there reading the magazine. She didn't have to get a subscription. Marion Mayer in babies. Sandy Moreland in China, another wonderful salesperson, wonderful buyer. Dorothy Almgren in toys. Alma Martner in lingerie, fabulous women. Joanne Geringer in paper. When I got there, Joanne Geringer had been there for 20 years. And she loved the card department, and she loved going to market and couldn't wait until the merchandise that she purchased could be arranged in a new display. Arlene Brown in gourmet. Wonderful. She did all the food shows. Worked so hard. Sylvia Strasser in jewelry and accessories. She loved jewelry, and she'd have her girls wear the necklaces and the bracelets and the rings, and they'd sell it with the price tags hanging on them, and they'd sell it right off of themselves. The people. And then, of course, wonderful Mary McIntyre, who was, she was a treasure in the dress department. New fabrics, new vendors, knew the stylist. She was perfect. So they're the ones that made Little Traveler unique, a unique shopping experience. Those are just the department heads, but the people that worked with them were tremendous. You must read the book 100 Years of the Little Traveler. It captures all that the Little Traveler was and is. Thank you for coming today. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Carrie. Okay.
Now, Kate. I see the display. Do you need me to do it? That's what I need. Give her your big one.
Good evening. As mentioned, I am Kate Raftery Muth, the firstborn great-granddaughter. There are a few others of Kate Howard and John Edmund Raftery. My brother John Howard and my sister Ann Elizabeth could not be here, nor my cousin Jennifer Peters. They are out of state, all three of them. I'm from Wisconsin. Special thanks to Terry, of course, and the whole staff at Geneva History Museum. We had a great day. She's really fun. She even spotted me some cash at your store.
She bent on me back.
Okay, I'm honored to be here with Michael Simon and Norma Jaeger. What a treat for us all. Thank you for your stories. I love it. I was born in 1967 to John Edmund and Mary Hallberg. Here she is. She's ready to answer questions because she has some memories later to share. She's like, what? But she too, I want to recognize, is in the permanent museum under the Hallberg section. There's a shoe store, if anybody remembers. That is her grandpa.
My grandpa.
And her aunt ran Geneva Dry Goods, who we figured out bought it from Michael Simon's grandpa. So I don't know how I ended up in Wisconsin. This is just not adding up. But for tonight, we're going to focus on Kate Raftery. Just a few days ago, my husband Ken in the back and I went to Louisville, Kentucky for the Derby at Churchill Downs. Wow. We were at the finish line about 10 rows back, smushed with my hat. Couldn't move, but out of the corner of my eye, I did see Rich Strike pass the two favorites. And one of our friends made $800 off of his $10 bet. So that's a bit of history that we were a part of, which was really fun. Before that, we were able to cross the Ohio River and go to Jeffersonville, Indiana, where they have the Howard Steamboat Museum, so where Kate Howard comes from. And I brought some literature for Terry to look at later. I was able to return the Howard family tree, which is really a circle, and her name is on there. So it's very interesting. So they have this copy here as well, if you're curious. Much of her childhood adventures were on and around the river there, and the shipyards, which would explain the river incident. The Howards built over 1,600 packet boats. Back then when it was all about moving things by water only. The museum was built by a relative. They lived there, and when they passed, they made it into a museum, and it's still a museum. So if you're ever in Louisville or Jeffersonville, it's worth a stop. I also urge you to spend time with the interactive almanac exhibit here. It's amazing. They really encapsulate the essence of my great-grandma, her storytelling, her travels. They're lengthy and fun. And there's descriptive diary and some like the London letter. So she traveled on the Atlantic, made many ship crossings on the Atlantic, and has diaried most of them. So you'll catch those throughout the almanacs. My favorite is called The Gulliver Travels. I have to get, and the illustrated journal of her trip she took the summer of 1889. I believe you have that. Okay.
Thanks to you.
Yeah. Today I shared with Terry a play that was called The Tale of the Little Traveler, which is from 1928. So soon that will be available to view. She could spin a tale with details like no one else. The type of candy that was in her husband's pocket to what my grandfather had for lunch and make it sound good. She really had a gift. She called my grandfather Bibbs. She called herself Mims, and her husband was Dids. So in most of their character portrayals, you might read those. Ironically, Ken and I call our youngest son Dids. Totally unrelated, total different reason, and it's true. Yeah. I'll tell you how that came to be later. On the side. Even though I didn't know her, I feel like I do because of all these letters and diaries, the impact on others, people who worked with her. Geneva was her happy place. The Little Traveler, or the LT, as we call it, has held a special spot in my heart ever since I can recall, and certainly since ever I could drive or was make annual trips, at least once or twice a year. My dad told me when I interviewed him before he passed that he got to spend a whole $1 at the Little Traveler every Saturday. You know it was in the candy department. I do love the picture of him sliding down the banister, so if you have a minute, go check that out. Kate died when he was 8 years old. He got in trouble because he snuck into her room as she was passing upstairs there. I believe it's the front room. We're still trying to discern where her bedroom was because that was not the proper English thing to do. But he just had to say hi because to him she was a rebel and the only Democrat within the 5 counties surrounding. That's what he told me anyway. She was a personal friend of Harry S. Truman, which is why I brought that framed Harry personalized photo. Adlai Stevenson, the governor of Illinois. And you've heard the stories of the ambassador of China. Who's the name?
Lucy Calhoun.
Lucy Calhoun, who gifted her this jacket that I'm wearing tonight. This was hers. And it says Peking, China in the tag. That's amazing. I'm just in awe, constantly in awe of what she did and who she knew. So thanks for coming. Please continue to share the stories. History is wonderful. I love old things. And thank you, Terry.
Okay, thank you. We did really have a fun day today. It was a great time, and had no idea it was going to be like that, but we just went with it, and it worked. So now I invite you to enjoy some more wine, some more food, buy a book, get them while they're here, because these guys are sitting here with pens. I know I'm going to get mine autographed. We're getting one for the archives autographed. And enjoy the rest of the evening. Visit the exhibit. It's up through December 23rd. Please tell your friends in the community to come check this out because I think this story is quite amazing and it really put Geneva on the map. Thank you for enjoying this with us. And also, are there any questions? I guess I should ask. Does anyone want to ask any questions of anybody up here that you want to say? Yes, Pam.
So, was all the staff of the Little Traveler women?
Yes. Except the shipping and receiving, 2 men. You can take the question.
Were all the staff women at the Little Traveler?
Was it that way today?
Yeah, but the chef is.
The chef is a man, all the rest, yeah.
We know him.
Everybody knows him.
Any other questions before we just continue the party and fun? No.
Stories? Maybe they some of us with stories?
Yeah. Oh, you know what, Mary? I didn't give you an opportunity. Hold on, Mary.
I don't think I. Oh, that must be Kate.
Yeah.
Weird. No, I don't have much to add because I was only 8 also when she passed away. So I do remember going there for one birthday party for my husband John, and it was in the courtyard, and it just was fun. That's all I remember. But I've enjoyed all the merchandising that Michael has done, and one of the things was the Mary Hadley pottery. Do you remember the blue dishes? Oh, I probably have a service for 24, but
Do you want me to help you?
you know, I did bring a little trivet that Mary Alice Hadley did herself. And she's a good friend of Kate Raftery's, being in Kentucky. So she did it in a little traveler with a carriage. And unfortunately, that store, that's closed now.
They're closing next year, so if any of you have collections of Mary Hadley pottery, get it now because
You're right.
they're closing next year and they're
Right.
closing out this side.
And then she put on the back for the little travelers, Mary Alice Hadley. And then it said, I love your at home. And I have no clue what I love